Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to the Wednesday evening Bhagavad Gita class, and thank you so much for joining us on different platforms. And we're so glad to have you here. Thank you, Ashramada Prabhu, for helping us with the live broadcast. And so we'll start with our tradition with the very beautiful song. It's called Jai Radha Madhav. Is the song is written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in which he describes about the spiritual world, and also it actually contains the three of his deities, Radha, Madhav, Kunja Bihari, and Gopi Jana Vallabha, that he used to worship. And Srila Prabhupada used to say that how this song actually is reminds of a spiritual world. So let's sing, um, because it's we have Zoom, so maybe I'll sing and then myself have to repeat. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Yasodhanandana Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Yasodhanandana Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. So Jai Shri Radha Kunja Bihari ki Jai, Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki Jai. So let us offer our humble obeisances to Guru Parampara and seek their blessings so that we can start today's class. We'll recite the prayers. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण निताय नामेने चे नामेर हाते श्रद्धा मूल्य नाम दीते छे रे निताय नामेने छे नामेर हाटे श्रद्धा मूल्य नाम दीते छे रे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कम करोति वाचालं पंगुलंगायते गिरिं तत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं हरे कृष्णा. So, before starting this class, I would humbly like to dedicate this to my dear God sister, Her Grace Kunja Sevika Mataji, for her for her for her good health, and then says, so let's pray that she always remember Krishna and can get the best destination. Hare Krishna. So today's class will start with the chat. Chat stands for chapter 8A, and currently we are all reading chapter 8. I hope many of you have memorized or in the process of memorizing. So chapter 8 is attaining the supreme. So we'll read Sanskrit and then translation of chapter 8. So I hope you're able to see my screen, and we'll go start. Arjunuvacha Kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adhibhutam cha kim proktam adhidaivam kim uchyate. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. Adhiyagya katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayanakale cha katham geyosi netatmabhi. Who is the Lord of sacrifice? And how does he live in the body, O Madhushudan? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavo Adhyatma Uchyate Bhuta Bhavot Bhavakaro Visarga Karma Sangitaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyat, the self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entities is called karma or fruitive activities. Adhibhutam charo bhava puruscha adidevatam adhiyaggo hamevatra dehe deha bhritambara. O best of the embodied beings, the physical nature which is constantly changing is called Adhibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and moon, is called Adhideva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adhiyagya, the Lord of sacrifice. अंतकाले च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरं यः प्रयाति समद्भावं याति नास्त्यत्र संशया. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attain my nature. Of this there is no doubt. यम यम वापि स्मरन् भावं त्यजत्यन्ते कलेवरं तं तमेवैति कौन्तेय सदा तद्भाव भाविता. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु मामनुस्मरयुध्य च मयि अर्पित मनोबुद्धिर मामेवैस्यसि असंशया. Therefore, Arjun, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting with your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. अभ्यास योग युक्तेन चेतसा नान्यगामिना paramam purusham divyam yati parthanuchintayan. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyam Samanusmaredya Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastat. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, and who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. प्रयाण काले मनसा चलेन भक्त्या युक्तो योग बलेन चैव भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक् सतं परम पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम्. One who at the time of death fixes his life hair between the eyebrow and, by the strength of yoga, with an undeviating mind, engage himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yadaksharam veda vido vadanti vishanti yad yatayo vitaraga yadikṣanto brahmacharyam charanti tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkar, and who are great sages in the renounced order enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य मनोहृदि निरुध्य च मूर्धन्य आध्यात्मना प्राणम आस्थितो योगधारणम. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. Om ityekaksharam brahma vyaharan mam anushmaran yah prayati tyajan deham sayati paramam gatim. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of later, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. Ananya chetah satatam yomam smarati nityashah tasyaham sulabha partha nitya yuktasya yoginah. For one who always remember me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Mamupetya punarjanma dukhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanah samsiddhim paramam gataha. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Brahma bhuvana loka punar avartino arjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. सहस्रयुग पर्यंतम अहर्यत ब्रह्मणो विदु रात्रिम युग सहस्रांतम तेहो रात्र विदो जनाः. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. अव्यक्तात् व्यक्तया सर्वा प्रभवत्या अहरागमे रात्रि आगमे प्रलीयन्ते तत्रेवा व्यक्त संज्ञके. At the beginning of Brahma's days, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again. भूतग्राम स एवायं भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्रि आगमे वसः पार्था प्रभवत्य अहर agame. Again and again, when Brahma's days arise, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. परस्तस्मात् तु भावोऽन्यो व्यक्तो व्यक्तात् सनातनः यः स सर्वेषु भूतेषु नश्यत्सु न विनश्यति. Yet there is another unmanifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. Avyaktochar ityuktas tamahu paramam gatim yam prapya na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. That which the Vedantists describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode. Purusahasa para partha bhaktya labhyasvananyaya yasyantasthani bhutani yena sarvamidam tatam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading and everything is situated within him. Yatra kale tvanavrittim avrittim chaiva yogina prayata yanti tam kalam vakshyami bharatar sabha. O best of the Bharatas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which, passing away from this world, the yogi does or does not come back. Agnir Jyotiraha Sukla Sarmasha Uttarayanam Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma Brahma Vidojana. Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain that Supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of the fiery god in the light at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6 months when the sun travels in the north. Dhumo Ratris Tatha Krishna Shanamasha Dakshinayanam Tatra Chandramasham Jyotir Yogi Prapya Nivartate. The mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, reaches the moon planet but again comes back. Sukla Krishna Gati Yete Jagata Sasvate Mate Ekaya Yati Anavrittim Anyaya Vartate Puna. According to Vedic opinion, there are two ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns. Nete sriti parth janan yogi muhyati kashyana tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna. Although the devotees knows these two paths, O Arjun, they are never bewildered. Therefore, be always fixed in devotion. Vedesu yagyesu tapasu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanam upayati chadyam. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all this, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. Om Tat Sat. Thus ends the chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita, named Attaining the Supreme. Hare Krishna. So, Thank you so much for everyone for joining, and those who joined a little late. Welcome for our Bhagavad Gita Wednesday Bhagavad Gita class, and we are going to today. The plan is that we read the chat. Chat stands for chapter a day, where we read one chapter of Bhagavad Gita. From so this month we are all reading chapter 8, either Sanskrit or English or both. So this is there's so much benefit has been told by reading Bhagavad Gita. And now we will little bit dwell into what is Bhagavad Gita. I'll just in few minutes I'll be giving some short summary, and then we will see an interesting story from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appreciated a South Indian Brahman who was trying to read Bhagavad Gita. And at the last section, since we are approaching very soon Sri Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day is called Gaur Purnima on 24th of March in here in ISV. So I thought that maybe we'll read something from his biography, and so let's see whatever we can cover. We'll try to cover in this section. So uh, before we start, let's do something as I was saying, maybe a little bit basics of Bhagavad Gita, and so I hope you are able to see my slide. So this is Sri Prabhupada. This is presiding in our temple, blessing all of us. Is the Acharya who brought this knowledge, especially to the Western world, and translated the Bhagavad Gita into English so that people like me, who doesn't have any knowledge about Vedic knowledge or tradition, can get benefited. So we, in the beginning, we glorified Srila Prabhupada by remembering him. And we can recite his pranam mantra too. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. So this verse basically is a pranami mantra, or the is a offering obeisances. We can remember Srila Prabhupada. It's beautiful Sri Radha Madan Mohan Sri Mahaprabhu and Sri Lakshmi Narasimha Deo. So what is Bhagavad Gita? So Bhagavad Gita is basically, Gita means song, Bhagavad means Lord. So it's a song of God. And you might be wondering, or someone might wonder, how does it, why should it be song of God? Or if someone knows the context, okay, the Bhagavad Gita has been told in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where was the great war, Mahabharat. Mahabharat is a great war is going to begin, and Arjuna, who was the warrior in the representing the one side of the party, when he faced his opposite party, and when he saw his all relatives there, he didn't want it to fight, and he left his Gandiv he left his Gandiv bow down, and then his charioteer, who happened to be Krishna, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he was taking as a position of chariot driver. Again, there's a I will keep it short for why he was taking as chariot driver is another whole story, but he was taking as a part of chariot driver, but he instructs him, Arjuna, in the science of self-realization, and by after hearing this, Arjuna wanted to fight with full vigor because he understood what is his duty, and Krishna in between given a lot of instruction that takes from some instructions on karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, and ultimately bhakti yoga. And how, like in today's one of the verse, especially the 7th verse of the 8th chapter, always when Krishna describes, okay, how come in 5th and 6th verse, when Arjuna asked the 6th question in this 8th chapter that we read in chat today, and one of the question is that how can we remember you at the time of death, and so what happened? What is my next destination? And then Krishna started answering that whatever we remember at the time of death, that's the next destination we get. And then he uses the word tasmat, and then seventh verse, tasmat means therefore. That means something is trying to happen before, and then he's telling that, and what was that before that, how we can remember Krishna at the time of death. And so he's explaining how can we do that. Therefore, tasmat sarveshu kalu, that all the time at uh, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manishmara yuddhaja, we should do our duty, and at the same time, the most important phrase in that translation is Prabhupada saying at the same time. It's not that Krishna is instructing Arjuna to just leave his battle and then just become like a sannyasi or just become like a mendicant and don't do his duty. But he told that you do your duty, but at the same time remember that why you're doing that duty, and offer that duty to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is a bhakti yoga. That we are doing our activity, but we are dovetailing that, and we are connecting it with Krishna. So that was the message that he gives Arjuna. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anushmara yuddhacha mai arpit manobuddhi. And give my intelligence, and give, like Krishna was telling Arjuna, that fix your intelligence and mind on me. So that is the secret. And let's just a little bit go deeper. The five topics that is in general categorized, Prabhupada says in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, there are five topics. Iswar means the Supreme Lord. Jiva is the living entity. We are all Jiva. Prakriti is this material nature. And basically Jiva and the karma is the activity, or the kala is time. So these are the five major things that have been discussed in Bhagavad Gita. And it's such a fascinating and important to understand that how Bhagavad Gita starts with that, how we are not this body, we are a soul, and we are encaged. So sometimes some person may just go on their whole life not understanding this basic truth, that how we are more than our body. And Krishna not only just talks about us body, he also talks about Ishwar, about him who is beyond this body, and how this material nature, we are engaged in this material nature, and what are the activities that we do, that different kinds of karma can elevate us or degrade us, or take us to different, and kala, how the eternal time is just taking us to different destination. And kalosmi, like in the 11th chapter, Krishna says, kalosmi aham chaya krit pravidho, I am the time, and through the time I am just taking away everything. Mrityu sarva harashchaham bhavascha bhavishyatam. In the 10th chapter, Krishna says, Mrityu sarva harashchaham, how as a form of death, he takes away everything from everyone. So Kal is something. So we can see that how we are a spiritual soul, and it's such a nice diagram, nice picture, that can illustrate that basic concept, that how we are a soul, that we are just passing through. Like in this picture, we can see that a person is from the childhood, is growing to the different body, and one day he become old, and one day he die. And as we ask during book distribution, where are in this picture, and and maybe somewhere in between I am. And but I know, I remember when I was child, I was internally the same person which I am now, but it's just the body has changed into different shape and form, and at the death it's just going to decay. There are six processes that has been mentioned, like how we take birth, we grow, we product byproduct, we dwindle, and we die. And so this happened. And but what happened after this process, does that it starts here, it stops here? No. If you see, there's another cycle starts. And that's what Krishna is telling in this Bhagavad Gita, this eternal truth, that how we are not body, we are a soul, we are just passing through different body. And this truth can be corroborated by so many, even modern scientific explanation. Like some of them is kind of the past life memories, reincarnation. There's so many stories, so many scientific study has been done by the scientists, especially one of the scientists, Ian Stevenson from the University of Virginia, who has documented more than 2,000 cases, and of the people reporting reporting their past life memories, and how they could recall from their past life what has happened. And when he went and did thorough research, that there was no cheating or no, it was very properly documented. If anyone is interested, they can read, understand when scientifically how this is all been explained. Or even we can see sometimes people have this out-of-body experience, or NDE or OB, near-death experience, out-of-body experience, where they which corroborates that how the soul is. We are not this body, we are soul. So currently I'm not going deeper, but I'm just giving some instruction. And then in the seventh chapter, one of the very, very important thing that Krishna says, Bhumirapo nalo vayu kham mano buddhirevacha ahankara iti amme bhinna prakriti rashtadha. So he says that, hey Krishna, he's saying to Arjuna that the living entities are made of this eight material element, which what are that? Bhumi, Rapo, Analo, Vayu, Khama, Mano, Buddhi, Revacha. So there are eight ingredients in which, like earth, water, fire, air, ether, is that whatever our this gross body is made of, which we can all see in front of us. But then there is a subtle body. The subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, and ego. And but they are all bhinna prakriti rashtada. They are all the separate material energy. They are nothing to do with the eternal soul. And then the next verse, Krishna says, Apareyam itastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhuta mahabaho. This jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedam dharite jagat. That how this eternal living entity, the soul, is different from these eight material elements which we are engaged in. So we can see that this gross body is made of this five pancha mahabhut, which we see, the gross body, the external coverings, and the subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, and ego. That is the, and then everything has their description, like mind is thinking, feeling, willing, intelligence is what decides the filter through take the decisions, ego is thinking that I am this body. But there is a, this is all the subtle body, but then this is much more beyond that, is the soul, and soul's constituent is Satchidanand, is eternal, blissful, and knowledgeable. So this is the some of the very, very basic core message of Bhagavad Gita. I wanted to just refresh and bring it. It's always refreshing that how Krishna is saying, Dehi nosmin yatha dehi kaumaram yavanam jara tatha dehantara prapti dhiras tatra namuhete. How dehi nosmin yatha dehi, the one, that's Dehi knows mean how this body, we are just moving from one body to another body. Dehi knows mean yatha dehe kaumaram yavanam jara, like from the childhood to birth, to the childhood to the middle age to the old age. Kaumaram yavanam jara tatha dehantara prapti dhiras tatra namuiti. That by, and similarly at the time of death, the soul moves to another body. So that is the very core message of Bhagavad Gita, and we all have to, when we understand that forms, that gives us the solid understanding, and then we can understand that how in the eighth chapter Krishna so much describe, actually this is all we are talking about, this the living entity. The, if you remember in the diagram, we so talk about the jiva, but then there is Ishwar, and that's what Ishwar has been very much explained by Krishna in the like one of the verse that I remember from the chapter 8, he says that parastasmat bhavo nyo vyakto vyakta sanatana yasa sarveshu bhuteshu natsyasu navirasati. So he's saying that there is a there is a different universe that where Krishna is there, parastas, and that doesn't get destroyed as this material world gets destroyed. So after this basic understanding of Bhagavad Gita, like that, we can see that how the mechanism of mind works. Like there are five senses: we have ears, eyes, nose, skin, tongue, from where we get the inputs, and then it gets stored into the mind, which is the storehouse of all thoughts, unfulfilled desires, previous experience, and the intelligence is which is the decision maker. And in one of the Upanishad, this analogy is given, like how the five senses are compared to the horses, and the rope is compared to the mind, and the driver of the charioteer of that is this intelligence, and the driver of this chariot is the soul. It's a very nice analogy, and we can understand very clearly that how this things works. So we can after this, I wanted to go to a very so this is I just given the framework of what is Bhagavad Gita and some knowledge, and but how to understand Bhagavad Gita. Is someone may ask, someone may question that Bhagavad Gita has been always existing, right? It's not that Bhagavad Gita is not existing, but there has to be a proper mood to understand Bhagavad Gita, and then only we can go more deeper into the understanding of Bhagavad Gita. So we will read a story. It's a very nice story given in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it is in the Madhya Lila, chapter 9. So if anyone will like to read, I see that some of devotees had joined. If any one of you are like to read, please raise your hand. You're very happy to. Sorry, please. It's not a monologue. It's like I want it to be more discussion. So, you're all also happy. And if you like, you can read. If anyone want to read, I'll just present it. If anyone want to read, let me know. You can raise your hand from the bar. If not, let me, in between also you can raise your hand. So let me start. So this story is when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is touring the South India and he's visiting different places, and he reached to the Sri Ranga Kshetra. And so let's see what happened. In the holy place of Sri Ranga Kshetra, a Brahman Vaishnav used to visit the temple daily and recite the entire text of the Bhagavad Gita. The Brahmana regularly read the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita in great transcendental ecstasy. But because he could not pronounce the words correctly, people used to joke about him. Due to his incorrect pronunciation, people sometimes criticized him and laughed at him, but he did not care. He was full of ecstasy due to reading the Bhagavad Gita and was personally very happy. While reading the book, the Brahmana experienced transcendental bodily transformations. The hair on his body stood on end, tears welled up in his eyes, and his body trembled and perspired as he read. Saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very happy. Purport: although the Brahman could not pronounce the words very well due to illiteracy, he still experienced static symptoms while reading the Bhagavad Gita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased to observe these symptoms, and this indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased by devotion, not by erudite scholarship. So this is the one first understanding we can see. It's not just the scholarship, is that what Krishna is always looking. It is He's pleased by devotion. And in Bhagavad Gita, in the 9th chapter, we can see in the 9th chapter, in the 26th or verse, Krishna says, Patram puspam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktya uprahitam asnami prayatatmana. He says that if one offers me with love, if what he's asking to offer, is he asking offer a very complicated thing? No, very simple. What are that? Patram means the leaves. What are the leaves we can offer? The best leaf is offering is Tulsi Maharani. We can all grow Tulsi in our home and offer it to, if offer it to Krishna. By the mercy of His Grace Syamru Prabhu, many of us are having the greenhouse and raising Tulsi Maharani and serving, and we can offer that Tulsi Maharani to the Krishna's lotus feet. Patram puspam. Puspam means the flowers. Patram puspam phalam. Phalam means the different fruits. Phalam toyam. Toyam means water. So we can offer this any of these four things with love. So that is the first understanding that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving. Even though the words were, let's continue, words were imperfectly pronounced, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna himself, did not think this very serious. Rather, the Lord was pleased by the bhav or the devotion. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.51, first chapter, first canto, 5th chapter, verse number 11, this is confirmed. Tadvag visargo janatag viplavo yasmin pratislokam abadhavatyapi namanyanantasya yasonkitani yat shrivanti gayanti grinanti sadhava. On the other hand, that literature which is full of description of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, and pastime of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of the world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. The purport to these words may be considered for further information on this subject. So basically, what Prabhupada says in this, he quotes this verse from Bhagavatam, and he says like um, how if someone is someone is serious, someone is sincere, and where is such a thoroughly honest, those who are thoroughly honest, they accept the essence. They accept the essence of the literature. So let's continue our journey. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the Brahman, and that verse also reminded me in the Prabhupada quotes in introduction of the Srimad Bhagavatam very humbly. In the preface, Prabhupada quotes very humbly that he put himself that okay, I may not be like 100, but I may not be like very qualified, but I am just presenting as it is what I have learned from my teachers, from my previous teachers, and that is my qualification. Prabhupada always, Srila Prabhupada, who's the founder Acharya of ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, always used to defer to his spiritual master that how it is his mercy and he's trying to represent parampara. He's just trying to present the same message that has been passed down to this generations of the teacher. And that's what one of the point we are trying to get to that today. What should be the attitude to read Bhagavad Gita, or what are the ingredients? So the first ingredient that we saw is like devotion, how it should be from devotion. It's not just scholarly we trying to just gain the knowledge, and that is not the only way. So let's continue our journey. Text 97. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the Brahman, "My dear sir, why are you in such ecstatic love? Which portion of the Bhagavad Gita gives you such transcendental pleasure?" Now you know, right? As we told in the beginning, actually the Brahman was illiterate. So let's see. The Brahman replied, "I am illiterate and therefore do not know the meaning of the words. Sometime I read the Bhagavad Gita correctly and sometime incorrectly. But in any case, I am doing this in compliance with the order of my spiritual master." So you can see that why he was reading. Why he was reading just because he was compliance from the order of his spiritual master. Purport. This is a good example of a person who had become so successful that he was able to capture the attention of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even while reading the Bhagavad Gita incorrectly. His spiritual activities did not depend on material things such as correct pronunciation. Rather, his success depended on strictly following the instructions of his spiritual master. Yasya deve para bhakti yatha deve tatha guru tasye te kathita yartha prakasante mahatmana. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Actually, so this verse is such a very instructive verse, and this is one of the Prabhupada's very favorite verse that he himself personified and given attribute to success of his worldwide campaign, that how he had faith in his spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, and he just tried to follow the order, and he has implicit faith that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message has to reach to the each and nook corner of the world, and just by that he had to be a success. So yes, Hare Krishna, yes, Ashtamada Prabhu, you like to speak something?
No, whenever you want, I can read if you want.
Yes, Prabhu, please read.
Actually, the meaning of the words of the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam are revealed to one strictly following the orders of the spiritual master. They are also revealed to one who has equal faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, being faithful to both Krishna and the spiritual master is the secret of success in spiritual life.
Thank you. And see, you can see that how this again, Prabhupada very emphatically says that being faithful to both Krishna and the spiritual master is the secret of success in the spiritual life. Vande Guru Charana Ravindam. Please continue.
The Brahmana continued, "Actually, I only see Lord Krishna sitting on a chariot as Arjuna's charioteer. Taking the reins in his hands, he appears very beautiful and blackish. While seeing Lord Krishna sitting in a chariot and instructing Arjuna, I am filled with ecstatic happiness. As long as I read the Bhagavad Gita, I simply see the Lord's beautiful features. It is for this reason that I am reading the Bhagavad Gita, and my mind cannot be distracted from this." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told the Brahmana, "Indeed, you are an authority in the reading of the Bhagavad Gita. Whatever you know constitutes the real purport of the Bhagavad Gita."
Thank you, Prabhu. So you can see that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so happy because And why he was happy? Let's see in the purport. Yeah.
Purport by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Acting according to the Shastras, Bhaktya Bhagavatam Grayam na Buddhya na cha Tikaya. One should understand the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam by hearing them from a real devotee. One cannot understand them simply by erudite scholarship or sharp intelligence. It is also said, Gita Dhita cha yenapi bhakti bhavena chetasa Veda Shastra Puranani Tena Dhitani Sarvasa. To one who reads the Bhagavad Gita with faith and devotion, the essence of Vedic knowledge is revealed. And according to the Svetasatara Upanishad 6.23, Yasya deve parabhakti yatha deve tatha guru tashyate katita hi artha prakashante mahatmana. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. All Vedic literatures are to be understood with faith and devotion, not by mundane scholarship. We have therefore presented Bhagavad Gita as it is. There are many so-called scholars and philosophers who read the Bhagavad Gita in a scholarly way. They simply waste their time and mislead those who read their commentaries. Text 103. After saying this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced the Brahmana, and the Brahmana, catching the lotus feet of the Lord, began to cry. The Brahmana said, Upon seeing you, my happiness is doubled. I take it that you are the same Lord Krishna. The mind of the Brahmana was purified by the revelation of Lord Krishna, and therefore he could understand the truth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in all details. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then taught the Brahmana very thoroughly and requested him not to disclose the fact that he was Lord Krishna himself. The Brahmana became a great devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and for 4 continuous months he did not give up the Lord's company.
Great. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So, as we can see from this very instructive pastime of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that how we have to accept the Bhagavad Gita knowledge that comes in the parampara of the disciplic success and from the teachers, those who have passed down, and not just the academic, like just by knowing the Sanskrit or knowing the grammar, we can understand Bhagavad Gita. We have to understand this in a disciplic succession, and it's so important to understand in that way. So I'll stop here. If anyone has any question or any reflection at this point of time, please, you are welcome to share before we move to the next part. Anyone want to share anything, any questions or anything they want to discuss?
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, if you are on Zoom and you have a question, please unmute and ask. Don't feel shy.
Hare Krishna. So if you can also stop me in between if anything that you like to share or question. So I wanted to share the same story. I got a clip of Srila Prabhupada. So I wanted to have in this class directly hear from Srila Prabhupada's lotus mouth. So let's just let me just play that.
Yeah, in Ranganath temple, he was reading Bhagavad Gita and he was illiterate. He did not know neither Sanskrit nor any letter, illiterate. So the people neighborhood, they knew that this man is illiterate and he is reading Bhagavad Gita. He is opening Bhagavad Gita like that. So somebody was joking. Well, Brahmin, how you are reading Bhagavad Gita? He could understand that this man is joking because I am illiterate. So, in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also happened to be that day in the Ranganath temple. And he could understand that here is a devotee. So, he approached him and he asked, My dear Brahman, what you are reading? So he could also understand that this man is not joking. Say, but I am invisible. So, my Guru Maharaj said that you must read 18 chapters daily. So, I have no knowledge, I cannot read, still Guru Maharaj said, so I am just trying to carry out his order and opening the pages, and that's all. I do not know how to read. Chaitanya Maharaj said that you are crying sometimes, I see. Then yes, I am crying. How you are crying if you cannot read? No, because when I take this Bhagavad Gita book, I see one picture that Krishna is so kind that he has taken the chariot driver, Sarathi of Arjuna. He is his devotee. So Sri Krishna is so kind that he can accept the position of a servant because Arjuna was ordering, keep my chariot here, and Krishna was serving him. So Krishna is so kind. So when I see this picture within my mind, I am crying. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately embraced him. That you are reading Bhagavad. Without any education, you are reading. He embraced me. So this is how he was seeing the picture. Because he was a lover of Krishna. It doesn't matter, he could read these slokas or not, but he was absorbed in love of Krishna and was seeing Krishna was sitting there and he was driving the chariot of Arjuna.
Hare Krishna, devotees. So, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this beautiful clip from Srila Prabhupada himself, by whose commentary we were just reading. He was founder Acharya of our ISKCON society, and then I was just thinking, I just thought that maybe it will be good that we hear from his lotus mouth directly. And fortunately, we have so many lectures that has been recorded, and thanks to the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, those who recorded that lectures, well, which Prabhupada gave in his short time of 10 years from 1965 to 1977, when he was establishing this worldwide society. And and Prabhupada gave this sorry, I've on my camera. So yeah, so when he was touring this 1965 to 1977, 12 years, he gave so many talks all over the world, and it's all recorded and it's present. It's very amazingly archived, and we can all hear and get details about the spiritual life and the truth about the spiritual life and message of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Is all available. So I thought to give some small taste to hear directly from Prabhupada. Great. So let's just move to the next part. And the next part is that we will, I was thinking as I was explaining, if anyone has any question or anything, please anytime feel free to raise your hand or put in your comment. Yes, Prabhu. Ashramada Prabhu, you have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to share that I remember when I first came in connection with Krishna consciousness, right? Maybe like what it was, I think 14 years back. At that time, I used to read Bhagavatam. I also used to listen to all these morning walks and conversation of Srila Prabhupada from prabhupadvani.org. And Prabhupada had that authority in his voice, as if, as if he's seeing it basically himself, he's experiencing it, right? And that helped me a lot in the beginning, because that is the time, whether you stay with it or you leave it, right, and go away. And, the listening to those conversations and morning walks of Srila Prabhupada helped me a lot. I just wanted to, add to what you are saying, that, listening, that hearing, right? Hearing has a very special power, and it can we have that lust in the heart, right? So that hearing can uncover that lust, that knowledge that is hidden in the heart, and we can understand spiritual knowledge very easily. I just wanted to turn that
Yeah,
around.
yeah. Thank you so much, and such a thank you for such a nice input. And just to add on that, yes, and the parampara is keep continuing. Like there's so many Prabhupada has given us so much gems of his disciples, so we have the same opportunity to hear from his disciples and his disciples' disciples, and that is a parampara. Parampara is means gift. The literal meaning of parampara is gift, and that has been so carefully passed down from one generation to another generation, and we can hear the same thing, same message from the from the from the from the
And his
from the
disciples.
devotees coming in the parampara in the disciplic succession now, and even in the future it will keep continuing. That's what how it came. Thank you,
Mhm.
Ashwada Prabhu. That was very nice realization from your own life, and makes so much impact for me for sure. Thank you. Anyone else want to share something or any questions or any? Please, you're most than welcome to speak. Or not, then we will move to the next part. So yeah, so we, as I was mentioning, we have the Sri Chaitanya, Sri Gaur Purnima is coming. That is appearance day of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I was thinking that before we can prepare our mind to, and the best book is that is to understand and learn about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is his biography that's called Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And so let's read from the Sri Chaitanya. So we'll, but the best part is that even in the Bhagavatam, that what Srila Prabhupada wrote, in the introduction, he gave the short sketch of the life and teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So since we had just half an hour left, I thought let's just start something, and then if anyone is more interested, they can read. This is from the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. If you go to the vedabase.io, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first chapter introduction, he gives the very nice short biography of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life. So let's start reading. If anyone else wanted to read, please raise your hand. You are more than welcome to read this. I'll start. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the great apostle of love of God and the father of the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord, advented himself at Sridham Mayapur, a quarter in the city of Navdeep in Bengal, on the Falguni Purnima evening in the year 1407 Sakabd, corresponding to February 1486 by the Christian calendar. So it's very important thing to understand is father of the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. That was the one of the major teachings, or we say that you is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Yuga Avatar, and he's the incarnation for this age. And the main thing that he came to is propagate the chanting of the holy name, and it has been mentioned in the various scriptures how this Krite in one of the words that I remember, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nameva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva 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 Gatiranyatha. How in this age of Kali there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way than to chant the holy name of the Lord. And that is the easiest and most perfect way of realization of him. So that was the one of the reason of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance in this world, as we know from the famous verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Anarpit charim chirat karunaya avatirna kala samarpayitu munnato jvala rasam sa bhakti shriyam Hare Purata Sundara Kadamba Sandipitas Hidayakandare va Sachinandana, and other verses that describes the reasons of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. Let's continue. His father, Sri Jagannath Mishra, a learned Brahmin from the district of Sialhat, came to Navdeep as a student because at that time Navdeep was considered to be the center of education and culture. He domiciled on the banks of Ganges after marrying Srimati Sachi Devi, a daughter of Srila Nirambar Chakravarti, the great learned scholar of Navadvip. Jagannath Misra had a number of daughters by his wife Srimati Sachi Devi, and most of them expired at an early age. Two surviving sons, Sri Vishwarup and Vishwambhar, became at last the object of their parental affection. The 10th and youngest son, who was named Vishwambhar, later became known as Nimai Pandit, and then, after accepting the renounced order of life, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his transcendental activities for 48 years and then disappeared from this mortal world in the year 1455 Sakabd at Puri. For his first 24 years, he remained at Navadip as a student and householder. His first wife was Srimati Lakshmi Priya, who died at an early age when the Lord was away from home. When he returned from East Bengal, he was requested by his mother to accept a second wife, and he agreed. His second wife was Srimati Vishnu Priya Devi, who bore the separation of Lord throughout her life because the Lord took the order of sannyas at the age of 24 when Srimati Vishnu Priya was barely 16-year old. After taking sannyas, the Lord made his headquarters at Jagannath Puri due to the request of his mother, Srimati Sachi Devi. The Lord remained for 24 years at Puri. For 6 years of this time, he traveled continuously all over India and especially throughout southern India, preaching the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this was a section. Then when we are reading that from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, if you recall, that the 6th year of his time when he was traveling, especially in the southern India, from the age 24 to 30. Lord Chaitanya not only preached the Srimad Bhagavatam, but propagated the teachings of Bhagavad Gita as well in the most practical way. So this is what we have to understand is the how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the one of the greatest who spread the teachings of Bhagavad Gita all over the world, especially from the India. And then in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is depicted as the absolute personality of Godhead. And his last teaching in that great book of transcendental knowledge instruct that one should give up all the modes of religious activities and accept him, Lord Sri Krishna, as the only worshipable Lord. The Lord then assured that all his devotees would be protected from all sorts of sinful acts and that for them there would be no cause for anxiety. Unfortunately, despite Lord Sri Krishna's direct order and the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, less intelligent people misunderstand him to be nothing but a great historical personality, and thus they cannot accept him as the original personality of Godhead. Such men with a poor fund of knowledge are misled by many non-devotees. Thus the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita were misinterpreted even by great scholars. After the disappearance of the Lord Sri Krishna, there were hundreds of commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita by many erudite scholars, and almost every one of them was motivated by self-interest. So that's what Prabhupada's explaining in this, and that's what I think in the previous one we're reading how the Bhagavad Gita has to be coming from parampara and from a disciplic succession, not for any personal or self-interest. It can be for oneself, or it can be for family, it can be for country, but more than that, it has to be connected to the absolute personality of Godhead, that is Sri Krishna. Otherwise, as Prabhupada is telling in this, that how people just think Krishna as a historical personality and not as a as a God. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the self-same. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the self-same Lord Sri Krishna. This time, however, he appeared as a great devotee of the Lord in order to preach to the people in general, as well as to religionists and philosophers about the transcendental position of Sri Krishna, the primeval Lord and the cause of all causes. The essence of his preaching is that Lord Sri Krishna, who appeared at Vrajbhumi or Vrindavan as the son of the king of Vraja, Nanda Maharaj, is the supreme personality of Godhead and is therefore worshipable by all. Vrindavan Dham is non-different from the Lord because the name, fame, form, and the place where the Lord manifests himself are all identical with the Lord as absolute knowledge. Therefore, Vrindavan Dham is as worshipable as the Lord. The highest form of transcendental worship of the Lord was exhibited by the damsels of Rajbhumi in the form of pure affection for the Lord. And Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends this process as the most excellent mode of worship. He accepts the Srimad Bhagavat Puran as the spotless literature for understanding the Lord. And he preaches that the ultimate goal of life for all human beings is to attain the stage of prema or love of God. So this verse, Prabhupada quotes from a very famous verse is there in our Vaishnava literature, Aradhyo Bhagavan Rajesh Tanyas Tadham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadhum Vargena Ya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Sri Chaitanya Prabhumatamidam Tatradharo Napara. So that's what Prabhupada has quoted this verbatim, that how this Bhagavad Puran is the spotless literature for understanding the Lord, and uh, and how the Krishna has to be worshipped, and his Vraj, Aradhya Bhagavan Rajesh Tanyas, the son of the Nand Maharaj. Let's continue. Many devotees of Lord Chaitanya, like Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, Sri Lochan Das Thakur, Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, Sri Kavi Karnapur, Sri Prabodhananda Saraswati, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Sri Jeev Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatt Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and in this later age, within 200 years, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan, Sri Syamananda Goswami, Sri Narottam Das Thakur, Sri Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and at last, Sri Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur, our spiritual master. This is like Prabhupada is writing. And many other great and renowned scholars and devotees of the Lord have prepared voluminous books and literatures on the life and precepts of the Lord. Such literatures are all based on the Shastras like the Vedas, Puranas, Upanishads, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and other histories and authentic literatures approved by the recognized acharyas. They are unique in composition and revealed in presentation, and they are full of transcendental knowledge. Unfortunately, the people of the world are still ignorant of them. But when this literature, which are mostly in the Sanskrit and Bengali, come to light the world, and when they are presented before thinking people, then India's glories and the message of love will overflow this morbid world, which is vainly searching after peace and prosperity by various illusory methods not approved by the Acharyas in the chain of disciplic success. And so we can all clap. We can see that how Prabhupada's the thought was, he was always thinking that how the world can be saved. And he's especially thinking that when this knowledge is presented before thinking people like all of you, those who are attending this session and joining us from different, then India's glories and the message of love will overflood this morbid world. And so we can see how Prabhupada is so confident, because that confidence coming because he's following the parampara, or the knowledge that has been passed down from the various teachers, that he very so nicely he mentioned all the names, and just by remembering these names, actually we all become purified. But just by remembering the names of these great souls. The reader of this small description, so okay, the readers of this small description of the readers of this small description of the life and precepts of Lord Chaitanya will profit much to go through the books of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, that is Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, and Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. The early life of the Lord is most fascinatingly expressed by the author of Chaitanya Bhagavat, and as far as teachings are concerned, they are more vividly explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now they are available to the English-speaking people in our teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So this book is also one of the very, very masterpiece publication of Srila Prabhupada. Is there available even in Veda base? If someone is interested to learn more, please read about these teachings of Lord Chaitanya. It's very amazing, concise summary of the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord's early life was recorded by one of his chief devotee and contemporaries, namely Srila Murari Gupta, a medical practitioner of that time. And the later part of the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was recorded by his private secretary, Sri Damodar Goswami, or Srila Swarup Damodar, who was practically a constant companion of the Lord at Puri. These two devotees recorded practically all the incidents of the Lord's activities, and later on all the books dealing with the Lord, which are above mentioned, were composed on the basis of kadachas or notebooks by Srila Damodar Goswami and Murari Gupta. So the Lord advented himself on the Falguni Purnima, evening of 1407 Sakabd, and it was by the will of the Lord that there was a lunar eclipse on that evening. During the hours of eclipse, it was the custom of the Hindu public to take bath in the Ganges or any other sacred river and chant the Vedic mantras for purification. When Lord Chaitanya was born during the lunar eclipse, all India was roaring with the holy sound of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. These 16 words, these 16 names of the Lord are mentioned in many Puranas and Upanishads, and they are described as the Tarak Brahma Nam of this age. So, dear devotees, is called as Tarak Brahma Nam of this age. It is recommended in the Shastra that offenseless chanting of these holy names of the Lord can deliver a fallen souls from material bondage. There are innumerable names of the Lord, both in India and outside, and all of them are equally good because all of them indicate the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because these 16 are especially recommended for this age, people should take advantage of them and follow the path of the great acharyas who attained success by practicing the rules of the Shastras or revealed scriptures. So Prabhupada is saying that there are so many Namna Makari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. There are innumerable names of the Lords are there. But this, especially the 16 words are especially is mentioned in the Shastra for this age, the age of Kali Yuga, in which we are all living. And also it's mentioned in various scriptures like Bhagavatam, where it says in the 12th canto, 3rd chapter, how krite tadhyayate Vishnu tretayam yayato make dvapare paricharyaya kalau tadhari kirtanat. How this in this age Kali kalau tadhari kirtanat, the most important way is chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The simultaneous occurrence of the Lord's appearance and the lunar eclipse indicate the distinctive mission of the Lord. So that was the mission of the Lord. This mission was to preach the importance of chanting the holy name of the Lord in this age of Kali or quarrel. Kali is like is another name is quarrel. In the present age, quarrels take place even over trifles, and therefore the Shastra had recommended for this age a common platform for realization, namely chanting the holy name of the Lord. People can hold meetings to glorify the Lord in their respective languages and with melodious songs. And if such performances are executed in an offenseless manner, it is certain that the participants will gradually attain spiritual perfection without having to undergo more rigorous methods. At such meetings, everyone, the learned and the foolish, the rich and the poor, the Hindus and the Muslims, the Englishmen and the Indians and the Chandalas and the Brahmanas can all hear the transcendental sounds and thus cleanse the dust of the material association from the mirror of the heart. To confirm the Lord's mission, all the people of the world will accept the holy name of the Lord as the common platform for the universal religion of mankind. In other words, the advent of the holy name took place along with the advent of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. When the Lord was on the lap of his mother, he would at once stop crying as soon as the ladies surrounding him chanted the holy names and clapped their hands. This peculiar incident was observed by the neighbors with awe and reverence. Sometimes the young girls took pleasure in making the Lord cry and then stopping him by chanting the holy names. So from this very childhood, the Lord began to preach the importance of the holy name. In his early age, Lord Sri Chaitanya was known as Nimai. This name was given by his beloved mother because the Lord took his birth beneath a Nimba tree in the courtyard of his paternal house, Nimba or Nim tree. When the Lord was offered solid food at the age of 6 months in the Annaprashan ceremony, the Lord indicated his future activities. At this time, it was customary to offer the child both coins and books in order to get some indication of the future tendency of the child. The Lord was offered on one side coins and on the other the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Lord accepted the Bhagavatam instead of the coins. When he was a mere baby crawling in the yard, one day a snake appeared before him, and the Lord began to play with it. All the members of the house were struck with fear and awe, but after a little while the snake went away, and the baby was taken away by his mother. Once he was stolen by a thief who intended to steal his ornaments, but the Lord took a pleasure trip on the shoulder of the bewildered thief. who was searching for a solitary place in order to rob the baby. It so happened that the thief, wandering hither and thither, finally arrived just before the house of Jagannath Mishra, and being afraid of being caught, dropped the baby at once. Of course, the anxious parents and relatives were glad to see the child lost back. Once a pilgrim Brahman was received at the house of Jagannath Mishra, and when he was offering food to the Godhead, the Lord appeared before him and partook of the prepared food. The eatables had to be rejected because the child touched them, and so the Brahman had to make another preparation. The next time, the same thing happened, and when this happened repeatedly for the third time, the baby was finally put to bed. At about 12 at night, when all the members of the house were fast asleep within their closed rooms, the pilgrim Brahman offered his special prepared food to the Titi, and in the same way, the baby Lord appeared before the pilgrim and spoiled his offering. The Brahman then began to cry, but since everyone was fast asleep, no one could hear him. At that time, the baby Lord appeared before the fortunate Brahman and disclosed his identity as Krishna himself. The Brahman was forbidden to disclose this incident, and the baby returned to the lap of his mother. There are many similar incidents in his childhood. As a naughty boy, he sometimes used to tease the orthodox Brahman who used to bathe in the Ganges. When the Brahmana complained to his father, then he was splashing them with water instead of attending school. The Lord suddenly appeared before his father as through just coming from school with all his school clothes and books. At the bathing ghat, he also used to play jokes on the neighboring girls who engaged in worshipping Shiva in hope of getting good husbands. This is common practice amongst unmarried girls in Hindu families. While they were engaged in such worship, the Lord naughtingly appeared before them and said, "My dear sisters, please give me all the offerings you had just brought for Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is my devotee and Parvati is my maid servant. If you worship me, then Lord Shiva and all the other demigod will be more satisfied." Some of them refused to obey the naughty Lord, and he would curse them that due to their refusal, they would be married to old men who had 7 children by their previous wives. Out of fear and sometimes out of love, the girls would also offer him various goods, and the Lord would bless them and assure them that they would have very good young husbands and that they would be mothers of dozens of children. The blessing would enliven the girls, but they used often to complain of this incident to their mothers. In this way, the Lord passed his early childhood. When he was just 16 years old, he started he started he started his own Chatuspathi village school conducted by learned Brahmanas. In this school, he would simply explain Krishna even in readings of grammars. Silaju Goswami, in order to please the Lord, later composed a grammar in Sanskrit in which all the rules of grammar were explained with examples that use the holy name of the Lord. This grammar is still current. It is known as Hari Namamrit Vyakaran and is prescribed in the syllabus of schools in Bengal. During this time, a great Kashmiri scholar named Kesav Kashmiri came to Navadip to hold discussions on the Shastra. The Kashmir Pandit was a champion scholar, and he had traveled all the places of learning in India. Finally, he came to Navadip to contest the learned Panditas there. The Panditas of Navadip decided to match Nimai Pandit, Lord Chaitanya, with the Kashmir Pandit, thinking that if Nimai Pandit were defeated, they would have another chance to debate with the scholar. For Nimai Pandit was only a boy. And if the Kashmir Pandit were defeated, then they would even be more glorified because people would proclaim that a mere boy of Navadip had defeated a champion scholar who was famous throughout India. It so happened that Nimai Pandit met Kesav Kashmiri while strolling on the bank of the Ganges. The Lord requested him to compose a Sanskrit verse in the praise of the Ganges. And the Pandit within a short time composed 100 slokas, reciting the words like a storm and showing the strength of his vast learning. Nimai Pandit at once memorized all the slokas without an error. He quoted the 64th sloka and pointed out certain rhetorical and literary irregularities. He particularly questioned the Pandita's use of the word bhavani bhartu. He pointed out that the use of this word was redundant. Bhavani means the wife of Shiva, and who else can be her bharta or husband? He also pointed out several other discrepancies, and the Kashmiri Pandit was struck with wonder. He was astonished that a mere student of grammar could point out the literary mistake of an erudite scholar. Although this matter was ended prior to any public meeting, the news spread like wildfire all over Navadip. But finally, Keso Kashmiri was ordered in a dream by Saraswati, the goddess of learning, to submit to the Lord, and thus the Kashmir Pandit became a follower of the Lord. The Lord was then married with a great pomp and gaiety, and at this time he began to preach the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord at Navadip. Some of the Brahmanas became envious of his popularity, and they put many hindrances on his path. They were so jealous that they finally took the matter before the Muslim magistrate at Navadip. Bengal was then governed by the Pathans, and the governor of the province was Nawab Hussain Shah. The Muslim magistrate of Navadip took up the complaints of the Brahmanas seriously, and first he warned the followers of Nimai Pandit not to chant loudly the name of Hari. But Lord Chaitanya asked his follower to disobey the orders of the Qazi, and they went on with their Sankirtan chanting party as usual. The magistrate then sent constables who interrupted a Sankirtan and broke some of the mridangas or drums. When Nimai Pandit heard of this incident, he organized a party for civil disobedience. He is the pioneer of the civil disobedience movement in India for the right cause. He organized a procession of 100,000 men with thousands of mridangas and karthalas, hand cymbals. And this procession passed over the roads of Navadip in defiance of the Qazi who had issued the order. Finally, the procession reached the house of the Qazi, who went upstairs out of fears of the masses. The great crowd assembled at the Qazi's house displayed a violent temper, but the Lord asked them to be peaceful. At this time, the Qazi came down and tried to pacify the Lord by addressing him as nephew. He pointed out that he referred to Nilambar Chakravarti as uncle, and thus Srimati Sachi Devi, Nimai Pandit's mother, was his cousin sister. He asked the Lord whether his sister's son could be angry at his maternal uncle, and the Lord replied that since the Qazi was his maternal uncle, he should receive his nephew well at his home. In this way, the issue was mitigated, and the two learned scholars began a long discussion on the Quran and Hindu Shastras. The Lord raised the question of cow killing, and the Qazi properly answered him by referring to the Quran. In turn, the Qazi also questioned the Lord about cow sacrifice in the Vedas, and the Lord replied that such sacrifices as mentioned in the Vedas is not actually cow killing. In that sacrifice, an old bull or cow was sacrificed for the sake of receiving a fresh younger life by the power of Vedic mantras. But in the Kali Yuga, such cow sacrifices are forbidden because there are no qualified brahmanas capable of conducting such a sacrifice. In fact, in Kali Yuga, all yagyas, sacrifices are forbidden because they are useless attempt by foolish men. In Kali Yuga, only the Sankirtan yagya is recommended for all practical purpose. Speaking in this way, the Lord finally convinced the Qazi, who became the Lord's follower. The Qazi therefore declared that no one should hinder the Sankirtan movement, which was started by the Lord, and the Qazi left this order in his will for the sake of progeny. The Qazi's tomb still exists in the area of Navadip, and Hindu pilgrims go there to show their respects. The Qazi descendants are residents, and they never objected the Sankirtan even during the Hindu-Muslim riots day. This incident shows clearly that the Lord was not a so-called timid Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is a fearless devotee of the Lord, and for the right cause, he can take any step suitable for the purpose. Arjuna was also a Vaishnava devotee of Lord Krishna, and he fought valiantly for the satisfaction of the Lord. Similarly, Vajrangaji or Hanuman was also a devotee of Lord Ram, and he gave lessons to the non-devotee party of Ravan. The principle of Vaishnavism are to satisfy the Lord by all means. A Vaishnava is by nature a non-violent, peaceful living being, and he has all the good qualities of the Lord. But when the non-devotees blaspheme the Lord or his devotee, the Vaishnava never tolerates such impudency. After this incident, the Lord began to preach and propagate his Bhagavad Dharma or Sankirtan movement more vigorously, and whoever stood against this propagation of the Yug Dharma or duty of the age was properly punished by various types of chastisement. Two Brahman gentlemen named Chapal and Gopal, who also happened to be maternal uncles of the Lord, were inflicted with leprosy by the way of chastisement, and later, when they were repentant, they were accepted by the Lord. In the course of his preaching work, he used to send daily all his followers, including Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Thakur Haridas, two chief whips of his party from door to door to preach the Srimad Bhagavatam. All of Navdeep was surcharged with his Sankirtan movement, and his headquarters was situated at the house of Srivas Thakur and Sri Advaita Prabhu, two of his chief household disciples. These two learned heads of the Brahmanas community were the most ardent supporter of Lord Chaitanya's movement. Sri Advait Prabhu was the chief cause for the advent of the Lord. When Advait Prabhu saw that total human society was full of materialistic activity and devoid of devotional service, which alone could save mankind from the threefold miseries of material existence, he, out of his causeless compassion for the age-worn human society, prayed fervently for the incarnation of the Lord and continuously worshipped the Lord with water of the Ganges and leaves of the holy Tulsi tree. As far as preaching work in the Sankirtan movement was concerned, everyone is expected to do his daily share according to the orders of the Lord. So we are reaching to the end time of the this section. So let's thank you so much everyone for joining this evening Bhagavad Gita session, and I'm grateful to each one of you to being present and giving your association. If anyone has, we have just 4 minutes left. If anyone want to share anything, please, you are more than welcome to speak. Otherwise we'll just and also we have some short announcement. We have 3 days a program in ISV. One is Wednesday evening, that is online, but Saturday morning, the 7th start at 6 a.m. with the Japa circle. You all are welcome to join the Japa circle, the chanting of the holy name that we were, and get the taste of chanting in the association of devotees, followed by the Darshan Arti and the Bhagavatam class. And then Sunday program starts at 3:30 p.m. 3:30 p.m. and this is in the our center at ISKCON of Silicon Valley, Mountain View. If you just Google search, you'll find the address, and you're all most welcome to join our all the 3 programs. Having said that, I will pass the switch to our host, Ashray Madhav Prabhu. Thank you so much, Ashray Madhav Prabhu, for and thank you, Keith Prabhu, for joining, Sushma Mataji for joining. So happy that YH to joining, and we look forward to your association.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the ecstatic reading of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. That was very nice. The Chaitanya Charitamrita's pastimes are always very sweet. Even the the incident that happened between Mahaprabhu and Kazi, that was also so sweet, right? They are each other, that how they are related, and he is the maternal uncle, and he tries to patch up, and then Mahaprabhu says, yes, then if you think you are maternal uncle, then you should welcome me like a nephew. Yeah, and there should not be any misunderstanding, right? And then they had open conversation on Quran and the Vedic scriptures. That was so nice.
Yeah.
So Prabhu, let me just quickly check if online, if anyone has any comments. Meanwhile, those who
I
are in
definitely want to appreciate our dear Keith. Thank you so much for, I think you just shared the whole mantra before we chanted, and also your wonderful commentaries and notes. Thank you, Keith, for joining us from into our live audience today. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone. So we don't see any comments, but wonderful. Thanks a lot for your lecture today.
Hare
So
Krishna.
we are in the top of the hour, and we can now close the session for today. And I would like to thank everyone to take time from their busy lives in a weekday evening to come and join this session. Thanks a lot for that.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srila वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। जय हरे कृष्ण।
All Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, devotees. We'll now close the session. Thanks a lot again for joining.
हरे बोल।
Hare Bol.